Hello, welcome to, well, I'll do that again. Hello, welcome back to the Tokyo Diaries podcast. It's been a minute since you last saw us. I believe the last episode was March or April. A lot has changed. New city, new jacket, new layout, and new guests, but the same old lovable podcast. And today, I have an incredible guest that some of you who follow me on social media may know of. She is absolutely incredible what she does, an absolute trailblazer, says a few funny brain rot TikTok words too much for my liking, but no one is perfect. Today, our guest is Liv Mctigue. Welcome to the Tokyo Diaries
Hey everyone,
podcast.
thanks for having me.
How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing amazing.
Yeah, good. What do you think of the set?
I love it. I feel like I need a cup of tea, put my feet up.
Exactly.
Homely. I love
What
it.
I say, stay at home mum kind of thing I said before.
Yeah, vibes. Yeah.
Millionaire. Yes.
Millionaire.
Yes.
Entrepreneur.
Exactly. So, Liv, I know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Some people watching this may know who you are. But for anyone who doesn't, tell us a bit about yourself. What do you do career-wise? How do we meet? Cliff notes. Talk to us.
Okay. Where do I start? Okay. So I would say I hate saying like I'm a creator.
Mhm.
I really, really hate that. Like I would, but I think I would.
I can see so many funny jokes to that. So go on.
But I think that's the best way to describe me.
Yeah.
I would like to be perceived as like a creator,
Yeah.
sort of, women's football advocate, I guess. So I started GUFC, which is now called 51, basically to start getting into like the sports media world because there was no like direct access into it. I chose not to go to uni. I went traveling instead, came back, and I thought, never knew what I wanted to do beforehand. Was literally completely lost in life. And I thought, I enjoy women's football. Let's see if I can make this, a job. Gave myself like a year to really get into it. Grew GUFC to what it is today. And then started like doing like TikTok stuff on the side. Started growing that, started meeting people, met Ellie, started doing our podcast. But yeah, we met. I think you dropped me a DM.
You commented on my thing first. That was you sent the feeler out.
Okay.
No, you commented. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay.
But for timeline wise, was this going on in 2021, like post COVID, like a lot of your TikTok? Like when did the first delve into that world start? Was it like
No, so I was quite late. So I was over in Australia when the World Cup was on, Women's World Cup. So
that year was
2023.
Okay.
So I started posting for TikTok like January this year.
Yeah.
Then started GUFC March time this year.
Okay.
So like relatively quite early.
Yeah.
In the year.
Yeah.
So I've only been doing it for like not even a year. But yeah, it's quite fun.
You've done a lot and gone to crazy numbers as well, may I say, which we'll get onto as well. So you mentioned it briefly there. How did you meet this debauchery sitting across you right now? How did we meet? Tell people that.
I think, well, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we met. First time we met was at that cafe with Ellie and Rihanna.
Yeah.
In person.
Yeah. In person.
Okay, but the first time we worked together was the WSL promo.
Hell have no fury. Yeah,
Yes.
you're skipping timelines.
Oh,
but
well,
yeah, so but, yeah, I think it was the one I did with Charlotte, Protect This House. You commented, I forgot, I think you just said, this is sick, something like that. And I checked your profile, I was like, she's a lot of followers. I messaged her. No, I'm kidding. Only a bit.
I don't, yeah.
But no, and then I met you in person. And there's always like this idea of, okay, is someone, even if they're cool online or like nice online, will they be like that in person? And I know that first day I met you, I was like, she is tall. You are tall, mate. Like, I would say lanky, but
I'm tall.
How did you see that? So what was your impressions like from the outside looking in? And be honest with me, like.
No, to be fair, like I think at that point you had only done a few women's football stuff?
Yeah.
Or maybe it was all men's.
It was mostly men's.
Yeah,
I don't think I did one.
But I saw it and I thought, like, that's sick. Like, there's nothing I'm not massive into men's football, like in that space. But I thought that's my first time seeing someone who's independent, not by a big, like, company, not paid millions. You're just doing something that you love, growing it from the ground up, working with people that you love. And I thought, that's sick. That's something that's so niche to come by. Because this day it's like you have corporations funding big things, big productions. Where's a one-man show or one-woman show going on?
That's the thing. We'll get on to that. I think in this line of work, and we talk about this all the time, but there's so much. Not everyone you see that's gotten to where they've gotten to has gotten there just on their own. Or like there's a lot of people who have a major brand or something or agency pushing out their stuff, and we know that, and some of you may know that, but it's a lot harder when you're just doing it on your own. And I think when I first came up to you and I met you, it was, first of all, there was three of you at the table. I was convinced Ellie hated me.
No,
and I was just
she
like,
didn't.
after the Chelsea jokes, this girl despises my guts. And I just walked in. I was going to my first day at an old job at a cinema. and it was like there's these 3 girls sitting at a table, and I was like, I feel so like spotlight effect massively. But I when we were talking, I was like, okay, Liv is like, I can tell like she's like the most like onto it. How did you see that day?
No, to be fair, I think because Ellie and Rihanna and I,
Yeah,
no, Ellie,
I love him, by the way.
Ellie's a
Love him.
Chelsea fan, right? Ellie, and then myself and Rihanna are Arsenal fans.
Good
And you
girls.
kept making jokes about Chelsea, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
but I think it was
Yeah.
because obviously it's your first time meeting them, and like
Yeah.
you use humor sometimes to like mask like nerves, I guess. You
Yeah.
kept making jokes
Yeah.
about Chelsea,
Yeah.
and then
She
Ellie
made
was
jokes
like,
about Arsenal back. She
yeah,
was
yeah,
going,
no,
we were
no,
going back and
she
forth.
can take it, she can take it.
Yeah.
But you kept making jokes about Chelsea, and I think she thought like, I don't know, but it was funny, but like there was no bad blood or anything. But I think it was just like I don't know what we were doing in the day. I think we had been
looking at studios.
like doing stuff. So it was a bit like a stressful day on our part as well. But then we went to the park and we had like a proper meeting about like more of like a chat about what we can align on and like your future projects. And I thought as soon as you said like a WSL promo, I'd already obviously seen your men's stuff, and I thought if we can get that, or if you can get that into the women's game, like you've really done now. Look, think about how many female creators you've worked with, or like how many people who are diverse you've brought in, who are, you know, changing the game for the better. Like, so you've already made that happen within what, a month of meeting you? 2 months?
Man, thank you for giving me my flowers, man. Thank you.
Always.
No, I'm very hard on myself, and you know that. Like we talk personally. I think you have that too. We all do in our own way. We have like little flaws we're still working on. One of them is that I don't smell the roses as much as I do. And I think you ask for like all the opportunities and all these great things to happen, and then when it starts happening, if it happens at a fast pace, you're so busy just keeping up with it and just not being swarmed by it that you stop. You don't ever stop to think, oh damn, I prayed for this stuff. I fought for this stuff, and like, you know, me people like at the time when I messaged you, you dwarfed me in followers, and I was like, this girl's working with this person. I'm like, why would you want to work with me? I was going into that thinking, what could I ever give you? Like, what could I, you know? And that may sound crazy to you, but I was walking in like, you guys are doing me a favor, but it's interesting, man. Is that how you saw it, or?
Well, I think, look, social media is not an accurate representation of life, right?
No,
the grass is not always greener behind that screen.
Yeah.
So it's like all the people that I've worked with have been amazing. Every opportunity I'm so thankful for. But it's not like I've done massive steps. Like there's people, you always compare yourself in this business to other people, right? If I've got 1,500 followers, well, why she got 2,000?
Yeah.
And it becomes a bit toxic because no matter what you are gonna,
There'll
you know,
always be someone bigger.
because you want to be like that, and that's fine. I understand that, but I think there's a level of like noticing where I am, noticing where they are, and saying, "Cool, we're in this together." Like if they can bring me up, sweet. If not, that's absolutely fine. That's their right, you know. But I just think at the time, I knew that you were destined for great things, and I knew that you had the skills there to do it. So I thought, why not work with someone who genuinely has the same alignment with me and women's football, and getting it to where we want to get it, and the creativeness. Why not go for it?
And speaking of align, that's one of my favorite things about you, Liv, is your character. I've met a few people in this line of work, and I know you have two who they do great and cool stuff, but sometimes the character isn't there, or it's just like there's like bad vibes in a room, and it's like I'm of that firm belief that we can all be great, we can all eat. There's enough for all of us. The lie is that only someone can get there to the top. No, we can all get there if we just work together. But that requires so much maturity, and it requires so much leaving your ego at the door and those insecurities, because it's just insecurity, you know. And I think I try to say, okay, cool. If you got a cool idea, if you got something you want to do or shoot, and you got a good attitude, I want to work with you. I don't care if you have 100 followers, 1,000, 1 million, whether you're 42 just starting out, whether you've done this for 20 years, whether you're in sixth form or in uni, I don't care. If you've got a great idea and you've got the passion for it, let's shoot it, because best idea wins. Or I always say that. It's only when it's a case of like, oh, well, he has more followers than me. Oh, well, he knows that person. It's like, you're right. When you were like, oh, when I get to 1,000, I'll be happy. Oh, but what, 2,000? I want 3,000. There'll always be, I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when. Has there been moments for you in your life where you had that like, oh, I'll be happy when I get this, and then you got it, and it was like, oh, I still want more.
Yeah, well, when GFC hit 10,000 followers. I thought when I hit 10, obviously going from the growth that it's had is amazing. I'm so grateful for it. It's the content that's led it. It's nothing to do with me. It's the way that people have perceived it, which is great. But like, it's the numbers again, like having followers, I genuinely think does not equate to success or you being a good person or anything like that. Your followers are following you for a reason, and that's amazing. But there's, you know, I think there's people within social media in general that will take a number. If you have 1 million followers, they'll walk into a room like they own it.
Yeah.
Well, those 1 million followers don't actually equate to anything. Your account could get hacked, you know, the next day. Then what?
Don't say that.
Then what's your identity?
Yeah.
What is your
exactly.
identity? Would you rather be a good
Yeah.
person, or would you rather, you know, I'm not trying to be like a martyr or anything, but like it is sort of that way. So I think, when GFC hit 10K, I was like, oh, like I've done it. But then there was also like a thought, well, so-and-so's got 50,000 followers. Well, the biggest one's got 2,010,000 followers. So why can't I get there? And it was like, well, actually, let me take a step back. Let me look at my journey. Let me look at the people that have helped me and like, let me learn from that. And it's, at the end of the day, like the journey is, I know it's shit sometimes and the journey can be rough and, you know, evil, but the journey at the end of the day is what you're going to remember. It's not your start or end point. It is how you get there and who you get there with and who you can start with and who you can finish with.
It's hard, isn't it?
It is.
It's hard. How do you navigate that? Because it is that whole I'll be happy when factor, and then you get it. Like, even when you said 10K, I'm like, I'm about to hit 10K myself, and I'm like, when I get it, I feel good for 2 minutes, and I'll think, oh, I want to hit 11,000, 12,000, right? It's like when I get to that one target, and the brain is so tricky how like it gives you this, oh, once you get to that target, everything in your life will be okay. Everyone will love you. Your ex will call you back. Everything, all this stuff will happen, right? And some of that may be true, but then immediately be like, okay, but it doesn't. The world spins on. It's the next day is a Tuesday. Like it's just normal. So how do you mentally navigate that pressure of your brain having like a target, but then when you get it, it's kind of like, okay, but more, because it's a good thing to have ambition, but it's a very slippery slope between that and pushing to a place where you're never going to be happy because there's always more you could do, you know? Yeah.
I think trying to remember that everyone is going through the same thing, no matter if they're, you know, happy on social media or not. Like social media is an amazing tool, right? I wouldn't have, you know, the exposure that I would without social media, or I wouldn't be sat here across from you if I didn't start doing TikTok or Instagram. But I think it's so important to remember that it's not actually real life, right? So those hitting the goals is amazing, but I think relating it back to why you started is the reason why you will keep getting opportunities. Like authenticity sells. I will never work with a brand that doesn't align with what I want to achieve for women's football or sport in general. So I think ensuring that your values are still as strong from the start and you don't corrupt yourself, you don't corrupt your friends, you don't corrupt, you know, your business or the name that you're trying to grow from the beginning. I think that's the most important thing for me. That's how I try and navigate like the tricky times of, you know, when you're self-doubting, when you're comparing and all this like negative stuff that can come with social media. Like I think that's how I try and overcome it basically.
Speaking of that self-doubt, is there a moment or a few moments that come to mind that you've had that made you grow as a person, looking back now, but were really tough in the moment?
So I had the opportunity to obviously work with DAZN in Bilbao for the Women's Champions League, and that was amazing.
Humble flex.
Yeah. Well, you know, it was an opportunity that I was like, well, I think at the time I had like 2,000 followers, and I thought, why does a company want to work with me? Yeah. Where, like, I have no value, I can't give them anything.
It's crazy, right?
But they were like, we liked your personality, and I thought, okay, like sick. Like obviously I'm going to say yes. So I went out there and obviously went with Ellie as well, and I think being surrounded by like, there was all these other creators that are established and they know the players and they, you know, they can just go up to them and, you know, say hi and they'll do a quick interview. And I was put there to basically replicate their job in my own way. But I was like, I'm such a small fish around all these massive fish. Everyone's got to eat, right? And it was like, okay, so how do I establish these, you know, relationships with the players or their managers to get the same content so I can be in the same ball game as all these big fish. And you will find like a lot of like the big creators or, you know, personnel will help you out, but at the end of the day, that's their full-time job. So like you can't, it's tough because people who are freelance full-time, that's their, you know, I do this on the side. I'm trying to make it my full-time job, but I don't think women's football is ready yet to have the amount of content creators that are trying to go full-time there's not enough food to go around basically. But I think, yeah, it's just like I was self-doubting a lot. I was like, why am I even here? I can't bring anything to the table. There was times where I thought, like Ellie may as well just go by herself because I can't help her. I can't do anything. I don't know why this brand wants to work with me. I'm meant to be getting the same content as these people and I can't do it. And then I thought, well, okay, if I can't do it, then let's just enjoy the moment. Like, fuck it. I may as well just record what I want, post it, do whatever. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's not like it's the end of the world. And I think it's just hard to, I think comparison is genuinely the biggest downfall for most people in this business.
The thief of joy.
Yeah, exactly. You get something, you think, oh, amazing. 5 seconds later, oh, well, what if this happens?
What
if
yeah.
it's the what if scenario?
She has that.
Exactly.
You don't have that. They do.
Exactly. Yeah. And your mind, the mind is crazy and it can be amazing, but most of the time it's a tricky place to navigate.
It's funny because I look at you as you're talking and I'm like, I'm so proud of her. She's done this, she's done this. But in your head, you're like, so stupid. I said this, We're our biggest critics. And we all say it, but I struggle with this myself. It's come back to London where like there's so much going on and I'm grateful for it. But it's almost like if you take a nice plate of food of like vitamin, I don't know, like vegetables, chicken, if you put it in the microwave for too long, what happens to it? It gets burnt or like it just gets really dried up, right? So all that good nutrients goes to waste basically. And I feel like my brain has kind of been in a place where like I had my routine, I was good, I was set. And the microwave is like the pressure of like all the stuff I have to do, right? And the longer I'm in that, it's kind of like the stuff that I usually do to like keep me in check. I haven't had time to do it. So it's almost like I'm still me, but I feel like not the burnout's coming, but my brain is saying like, hey, you need a rest soon because I can only take you this far. You can keep going, but you're going to crash. You're going to have a breakdown in a minute, you know, because what you're doing is great, but you can't operate at this level for this long without taking a day or two to just do nothing. And that fatigue is a real thing. I don't think we talk about it. Have you kind of hit stuff like that as well, you think? Or
I think, yeah, especially with like, I think more for GUFC because that's my baby. That's like the thing that I want to, well.
And GUFC stands for, just for.
Well, it did stand for Girls United Football Club, but now it's known as 51. Well, will be when
hopefully.
We'll
get to.
Which, But I think I'm so protective over that because it's just me. Like I've had people come to me and they said, do you want to collab, like go back with your team and discuss, like go back with your social media. I'm like, it's just me.
I literally saw it on camera on the way.
Like, it's just me.
Literally.
Like people, my friends like Ali and Ellie and Rihanna will send me stuff and be like, you need to, do this. So I'm forever grateful for those people.
Yeah.
But I think it's hard to be everything all at once and not have the same like self-doubt as people who do have a whole team behind them. And I think it's tough to be like, oh, but they can do this, but I can't do that because it's just me.
It's exhausting, isn't it?
It's exhausting because like I enjoy it so much. That's why I've done it. That's why I haven't given up on it. But at the same time, it's like, what am I doing it for? Because all these other people are reaping the benefits of it. They're well in their right to because they're putting out this exceptional content as well, but they've got teams. So I think it's like a jealousy within me that no one recognizes that. It's probably just me in my head, to be fair, but I think it's no one recognizes how hard it is to get up in the morning, edit 3 posts a day. Maybe they'll do shit and have like 300 likes. And then I'll think, well, that's a representation of me. That's because I'm shit at my job. When actually it's just the algorithm. It could just be, it's old news or it's just the hashtags. It's nothing to relate with me, but I think because it's my baby, I'm so protective of it. I want it to grow and I want it to be its own thing. I don't want it to be like my brand as such. I just want people to know that I started it and then hopefully one day it will go massive. So it'll be like Just Women's Sports or, companies like that. But I think it's just really hard to keep your head in the game, basically.
We're not allowed to swear on this podcast, by the way.
We're not.
I'm joking.
Whoops.
There's something you said that really stuck me back before when you were like, I feel like women's football isn't there yet to have everyone eat or everyone get there. That's why there can be a lot of competitiveness sometimes. Why do you feel that is? Why do you feel like it's not there? And by the competitiveness, what do you mean by that?
I'm talking from like a content creation like side of it. So you've got so many people that are trying to, it's amazing to see like people go from 0 followers to, 5,000, 3,000, 700 followers is an amazing achievement, right? You've got people viewing your shit daily. And I think that's amazing. We've got so many people that are viewing it as an actual job now. Whereas a couple of years ago, people would laugh and be like, you want to do social media as a job? Like jog on.
Yeah.
But now it's like an actual established and respected thing.
Jog on, mate.
So it's like, it's amazing. But I think women's, right, you still got football tickets that are being sold for like £1, £2.
Stop it, really?
Yeah.
Not WSL ones?
Yeah.
Really?
I promise you there is.
No.
Ticket, okay, I will show you after.
Not Arsenal.
I might be Championship, but no, not Arsenal.
Yeah,
but like, I think Everton were like £5 or £6, right? So your ticket sells,
Yeah.
because obviously it's still a growing game.
Yes,
we
you
want to
wanna-
play, we want to
yeah.
get people in, we want to get the younger people in. There's also the argument of that it's always marketed as a family day out, which I probably will get a lot of hate for this. I think that's great, but I think in order for the game to grow, you need more male allyship in the game. You need more of the age range from like 18 to 26 to come along to the games and like have a day out. I think it needs a bit more fan culture. It needs to grow a little bit more where it's competitive, where you can hate.
It's competitiveness.
You can hate your
Football-
rivals.
Football in its essence, someone wins, someone loses.
Mm.
Yeah, there are draws, but majority, someone's trying to beat you. They're
Exactly.
trying to beat you. Not everyone can win.
Mm.
You know, and that's what makes it great, because every tackle, every pass, every shot means more because you want to go home as the winner. versus
Exactly.
even from like watching a game in the stadium at the Premier League, which has millions behind it, or kick about in the park, you want to win.
Mm.
And that's at its essence what the sport is. And I really do believe, and I really do back what you say. I get the whole family day out thing. I do. But I feel like when people say they want it to be family day out, I'm like, okay, cool. Then what's your goal for women's football?
Mm.
If it's just to be family day out, keep doing what you're doing. But if you want it to grow, I'm sorry, but you do need that passion.
Yeah.
Part of football is you can't just have the sunshine and not the rain.
Mhm.
The rain is sometimes, some people may swear, but that's passion. I can't see people that clap and be happy, but never be angry, never be disappointed, never come out fuming or upset. It's emotions are a spectrum.
Mm.
You can't get just, I want just happiness and just that. That's not real. As an Arsenal fan right now, we've lost 3 games on a bounce. We haven't won a game in 4. But I know we're going to win soon, and that will make that win hit more. It's like I can't just have just the wins and the happy days out and never like the frustration. It's part of the game. And I feel like sometimes I tell people, like, if you want it just to be this exhibition, just come out. Doesn't matter who you support, just come out. Great. But if you want it to be on the level of the men's game, you look at what that has. The reason why we care so much is because there's the up moments and there's also the low moments. We can say what we think.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when you're outside looking in, it's kind of like, just be happy to support. And you can do that, but someone said something on Instagram which struck me. They were like, stop infantilizing women football. Like, they're not they can handle criticism. There's a line, of course. There's a line, but you can have standards for your team, Do you feel the same? Or
I do, like for an example, like the FA Cup, Tottenham versus Man United, went to that game. I think the score was like 4-0 or 5-0, 5-1 or something. I can't remember.
Tottenham lost, right?
Yeah, Tottenham
Of
lost.
course they did.
Thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they went to the game and then they lost. And then came out, Man United fans came out, dead silent. You just won an FA Cup at a massive crowd. I'm not sure if it was sold out at Wembley, but it was a massive crowd.
Wembley,
Yeah. And came out the stadium dead. No chance, no nothing. And I looked at Ellie in like our group, and we were the ones chanting like Tottenham are shit, Tottenham get battered everywhere. Yeah, like
looks like
exactly.
why are you chanting, lady?
But we were getting looks, and it was almost like, well,
you were off
what
putting
did
to
we?
them.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
well, what did we just win? That game for then? What does it mean? Because right now it represents that it means nothing.
It's like we're at the cinema.
Like it's just another trophy for you guys.
Yeah.
But it's more than that. It's like you've just beat Tottenham in an FA Cup. Like if it was the men's game, there would be atmosphere, there'd be chants, there'd be, everyone would go to Box Park afterwards. And don't get me wrong, there was some of that, but I'm talking as a majority.
Yeah.
Everyone was just straight, go to the tube, done. And I was just a bit like, for me coming from like the men's game, it was just a little bit foreign to, see that the differences. But I do believe that women's football will get there. But like you said, like, I don't think it can just be a family day out. I think but how we get there, I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I'm just saying, me personally, I think you need that camaraderie. You need, the rivalry. You need a bit more passion, like actual, you can say like your team shit, like they're atrocious this season, blah, 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 whatever, without having to, do all the other stuff that comes with it.
Yeah, there's a fine line to everything, but I think what we agree on is for people to care, they have to get their emotions involved. And if my emotions are involved, that's the good emotions and the negative ones. You can't just say, okay, even if your team is losing 6 games in a row, just support, You're allowed to say, I'm not happy with my team.
Yeah.
No, don't abuse, don't do any of that stuff. But, that passion is what makes the win. You can't have the last minute winners where people are crying and having tears of joy without having the frustration, oh, we're awful, we haven't won the 4 games. It's part of the story, it's part of the spectrum. And I agree with you with that. So thinking of your career so far, even if it had maybe been short in your opinion, is there a moment that sticks out to you right now that is you're the most proud of that you have? And what did it teach you the most about yourself looking back?
I don't know, like
Go on, flex.
I don't think there's a specific moment though. because my personal career, like working with, DAZN, that was massive for me. Being amongst like Jill Ward, Leah Volti, Kenza Dali, like all these people, I'm going to name drop, but
Wait,
like
you
all
met
these.
Leah Volti?
Pardon?
You met Leah Volti?
Yeah.
What's she like in person?
She's lovely.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
Lovely, yeah. She's a mum, isn't she?
Leah Volti?
Yeah.
No.
So she was. She has kids.
No, she doesn't. I think she's an auntie.
Oh, because I saw her with like some
Yeah,
kids
no,
after the
I
game.
think she's an auntie. I don't think she has
okay.
kids, but
Okay.
I met her at the We Play Strong event, and but like just to be recognised that I was worthy of being there, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
I belong here.
I belong here. Like I'm accepted here.
Mm-hmm.
But I think all in all, I think my biggest like personal achievement was probably just realising that I was gay, or just being able to come out. Like I don't think I would have done that without women's football, like on a real, because it's such like it's so normal. Whereas like outside life, like it's still normal, but obviously you've got people's opinions, and like certain, family members or whatever will be like, I don't think that's right. That's your opinion, that's fine, but you can't have a comment on my life. You can't say that that's wrong to me. You can think that, but just keep it to yourself. Like, I don't care. But I think generally in like my biggest work-wise, I think, there's so many small wins that I've got, but probably don't mean a lot to other people. Like, working with the FA to do the plate and cup draw for them. That was amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Man.
I think just having like other pages reach out to me and be like, do you want to do a collab? And like, oh, like sick. Like I've never had that experience before. Like, so nice, of course, let's do it.
Yeah, nice.
Or just like working with like creators like yourself, like people that align with the same stuff and, the same goals. But I think generally like my biggest personal achievement was probably coming out of such like a dark place and getting to the point now that I am. So yeah.
I'm proud of you, man.
Thanks.
Honestly, I am. You mentioned something back there. When you went to an event, you just felt accepted. And I think that's what we're all chasing. Like behind the followers, the likes and the views and brand this, brand that, opportunity this, pay this. Like money's nice, the validation's nice, but I think if you look at it on a human level, we all just want to feel like we belong and we're accepted for who we are. And I think that's the genuine human connection thing we can all aspire to be. Like any time I felt down, if I searched the feelings because in some way or form, I felt like I wasn't enough or what I was doing or who I was, no, not good enough.
Yeah.
How did you navigate that? And still to this day, because I still battle with it, and I'm sure you do too. How do you battle with it, and how do you kind of like come back to your center when you that feeling of like, I don't feel accepted here, or I don't feel like who I am fully belongs here? How do you kind of navigate that mentality?
I think it's a tricky one because it's like it's so much in your head. Sometimes like it's not as big of a deal if you say it out loud. It's always a bigger thing in your head than it is out loud, right?
It's crazy how it does that, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's like your brain will give you a whole 3-page trilogy about like why this person hates you. They haven't said a word to you, right? It's insane. So
and it's like it's mad. But I think it's just like, what was the question again?
That acceptance, when you feel like you're not accepted, or I guess we're kind of touching it where your brain starts to tell you stories of like what may not. We were just talking about this literally today. It's so difficult because I'm thinking, okay, I trust my gut. I mean, you naturally want to trust your gut.
Yeah.
But you're also aware that your brain is the greatest storyteller ever. And it can make something in your mind that is just not true. But it's like, do I believe it on this time or do I not? And it's like, where do I find that happy balance of like, I don't completely ignore it, but I don't go with everything it says because sometimes I'm in my own head.
Yeah.
How have you found that and how do you kind of get out of that?
I think it's hard because it's, as much as you can have good people around you to talk about it, at the end of the day, it's you versus your brain. Like your thoughts. And it's hard because you got people.
It's a tough opponent, isn't it?
Some people you'll talk to and they'll say, oh, just don't worry. Oh,
yeah,
cheers.
Thanks,
like,
mate.
I'm cured, mate. Honestly, I didn't think about that. Like, brilliant.
Yeah. Just go to sleep.
I think it's just, I think I try and look at it from a perspective of, I relate to myself, 3-4 years ago where we're all in lockdown, everyone was depressed, didn't know what I wanted to do. I was so lost, so confused. And now I look back and I think that girl 4 years ago would be so proud of the girl that I am now. The opportunities that I get now or have got. And if I told that girl, she would be like, what the fuck? Like, why? So I think I just try and relate it back to I sort of have like the version of me now and the most broken version of me. And how would they have a conversation with each other? Because I think that's like probably that might be a really deep answer, but like, I think it's a really beautiful thing to sort of relate it all back to how I started, why I started, from the beginning to now. I'm not anywhere near where I want to be, but look what I've done in a short amount of time. Like, that's something that I can celebrate. I don't need to say it out loud because sometimes it can come off like really obnoxious to other people. And I totally get that, because I've been in positions before where people have said what they've got. And it's like, oh, like a point of view is like, oh, I wish I was like that. But it's only because you see it as like, that's a really cool opportunity and I wish I had that. But right now it's your time. I'm going to be happy for you.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't need to be a whole toxic thing.
That is so mature, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot of strength to, like, especially when it's not going for you. Because I remember there was a time I spoke to a friend before I came out to London where I was like, when I was doing, I think I just did Protect This House. I just did the one with Tony, the one for the Tottenham game. And I was getting like followers. I was getting up there, but then I was at that sweet spot where like people were starting to notice me, but I was also starting to notice people who I had looked up to and idolized. They were watching my stuff. And then my brain was like, oh, cool. Then he's watching your stuff now, but look what he has.
Yeah.
You ain't got that. And it's almost like this balance of like, you're going up there, the car is moving, but wanting to go like 80 miles per hour versus like 40. You know, it's like, mate, some people aren't moving. The car's broken. You know, be grateful for what you have. And looking at me now, like, I know when I see someone get something good, I'm like, Denzel, be happy for them.
Yeah.
Be happy for them, because it's their stop. The train will go to your stop next, you know, but like you're on the train, they got off first, but you're going to get off at some point too. And when you get off, guess what? You want it to be happy for you. So be happy for them.
Yeah.
And that takes so much strength, Liv, particularly when you know you may not get it back. Right?
Yeah.
That's the thing we never mentioned, that sometimes you can give them all the love, and for whatever reason, they're kind of like, I don't want to give it back to you, because it's so easy to say, you know what? If it don't benefit me in any kind of way, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
You know, and with you, I've noticed that you are not like that at all. Even if it's hard, and it's so hard. I'll shake. It's hard, man. It is. But yeah, man. It's a journey. But speaking of journeys, GUFC is now 51. Explain, how did the name come about? Why is it called 51? Tell us.
So I think I just wanted a bit of a rebrand. I looked at it and I was like, to me, I think it's grown out of its purpose right now. It's going into a new era. It's going into something that is going to be even better than our original strategy. So I came up with 51 because obviously women's football was banned for 50 years, but not a lot of people recognize the year after. So that, I personally think, the year after the 50 ban, going straight in from, you know, you're not allowed to play football to, okay, you're not allowed to play football. I think that was the hardest year for women's football to really come back from a 50-year ban to now, oh, yeah, you can play. Just like that. You can play. It's fine. Like, it's accepted now.
Yeah.
I think people don't realize that. I think it was a 51-year struggle, not a 50-year struggle. It's still a struggle now, but for the ban, I believe that it's 51 years. Because that year after women's football, the ban was lifted. I think that was probably the hardest time to be a female and to be a footballer at the same time. Just having your rights stripped away of playing a sport you love and then going, no, you can play again. So I wanted to honour that and sort of highlight that, you know, sometimes the years after aren't always as glorious as people say. You know, it's the struggle that makes you who you are. So I wanted to basically just have a name that means a lot more. And it can be quite controversial because everyone says, some people say that the ban was for 51 years. Some people say it was for 50 years. So, you know, it's up to you. But I think I just wanted to highlight that it wasn't just like changed like that. It came from pioneers before us, and players before us, coaches before us, and managers before us to get the game where it is now. So 51 is 51. And yeah, I think it's destined to do great things, but it will take time.
That's cold, man. That's cold. No, look, if you're behind it, it's fine. Like, as we talked about this a lot, but like, a name is a name. It's the person. The person makes the name. Like, what the hell is a Math the Filmmaker? Like, it's so, and I tell people, like, that was from Chance the Rapper. It was like, oh, Chance the Rapper, Math the Filmmaker. Cool. It was so silly, but it's become its own thing because of the work I put out and who I am. So I think you can name yourself Duck Duck Dynasty. You know? So there's people called the Sidemen who are millionaires, you know. So I think name is important, but like, you showing it as well, like, it's the work you put out, it's the who is behind that name, is what does that name represent to people. And speaking of representation, as a woman, as a Black man, we know that there are certain times we go into certain rooms, or just in our day-to-day life within this line of work, where we may feel like we have to prove more, work harder than others. How do you navigate that? Because I definitely have. I just talked to a good friend, Georgia Adelaide. Georgia?
Yes,
yes, I got the name right.
Yeah.
Thank God. Yesterday, and we talked a lot about it, but navigating this football space as a woman, what are some of the challenges you've come across so far, and how have you navigated past them, would you say?
Well, I think I'm in a very privileged position that I am a white female. because it's a lot harder for black females, a lot harder for black creatives, a lot
I
harder for
love that
black
you mentioned
players.
that, by the way, because everyone
Well,
knows.
it's a fact.
Yeah.
It is. And I think a lot of people are too timid to talk about it. And
Yeah.
that's where I think the problem lies. If you're too timid to talk about it, it's a problem.
And that's why I think the infantilization and the whole family day out thing does, because it's like everyone's just happy to be here.
Yeah.
But the issue with that is you don't talk about the issues. And you don't talk about where
Exactly.
it could grow. It's like, yeah, but like there's this I believe her name is Miriam Khan, Brown Girl Sport. She has something where she just highlights brown girls in football, her game too. Like there's a lot of places where it's like women's football, but like women of color.
Yeah.
And I like that. And it's like you can mention that without it being a spite on white female football players. And it's like it is their game too. It is Brown Girl Sport. Like there's other things, like it's everyone. Because you look at the men's game, look at the Arsenal men's team. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But take your pick. Brazilian, our captain's Norwegian, Rice Baby, English, Saka, black, like Brazilian, black, like take your pick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I look at the women's team and I love it. And I'm like, when I have a daughter one day, I want to take her to that game. And I want her to see someone that looks like her that she can relate to. Because I'm sorry, whether you like it or not, it does make a difference. The fact that I can look at the Arsenal team and pick many players and assign myself to them last year, even this year, that's a blessing that other teams have. And I've seen other women's teams have it. It's not like a women's thing. Chelsea do it amazing. They have such great diversity. And as an Arsenal fan, it hurts to say, but I was there at the game they played at the Emirates, and I was like, man, they're just dripped in diversity, and it's beautiful because it represents London, because London is a multicultural part. But yeah, behind the scenes, I think it's even worse behind the scenes,
Yeah, well, I think, again, like walking into, let's say I get invited to an event, walking in, I know I'm going to be represented. I know there's going to be white people there. I know 90% of that room will probably be white people, because I don't have all the answers, but it is crazy to think that no matter what room I'm going in, I will be represented. Not a lot of black females, black males will have that, especially in, social media content creation. There's a few black female creators, I think. Everyone else is white.
And it won't always come to you about that, by the way. There's this, and speaking from the black perspective, where it's the weird gaslighting of like, we know there's an issue, there's an issue, but if we raise the issue, you're making it about race.
Exactly.
Denzel using a race card. And it's like someone is taking a knife, stabbing you in the neck with it and say, okay, cool, I put a knife in your neck. Don't talk about it. Don't even say there's a knife there. And if you do, I'm going to say that you're making it about the knife. And it's like, what is this weird gymnastics going on? And it's like, yeah, sorry, go on.
No, I think it's just like knowing that, what was the question again?
Walking into those spaces behind the scenes, because with women's football, one thing I think massively needs to change is the diversity. It is slowly, but it could go faster. It could, because I see a lot of other things happen like that in women's football. And it's like, I want to, one thing, you want to say you want to be as big as the men's game? Cool. Include all women.
Exactly.
All women, all girls of all different colors, religions, ethnicities. Another great shout out, Barack London, Muslim women footballers, which I will want to work with them when they respond to my DMs. But yeah, there's women out there, because I hate the argument, oh, well, we pick the best players. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do it like it's a skill thing, because trust me, walk outside any London underground station, you'll see women footballers or girls of color who want to get into football, but they don't see the pathway into it. And I think the pathway, like, do you see those pathways behind the scenes or?
No. Simple. No, like everyone says it starts from the top, which you can argue with it, but I think it starts from the bottom, grassroots. Getting kids starting girls from an academy level that boys start at will increase. You'll have so many more girls coming up from the ranks into the first teams, whatever. But without that, without the structure, without the foundations there, you're set up to fail. Like it's a system that is racist. It's a system that is sexist, is misogynist. If you don't have that,
I can't. You're making about race,
but that's
that's the game. That's the game, right? That's the game.
Yeah.
It's like, do it, but don't talk about it.
Exactly.
It's like, I can see what you're doing. You know what you're doing. But if I make it an issue, it's like, oh, well, you mentioned about race. I felt uncomfortable. And that's another one. Like we talked about that. It's like the word uncomfortable is like a bullet to black people, particularly black men.
Yeah.
Black women, I think it's more of like angry, kind of like, she's a bit like tense. With me, for my whole life, it's been a case of like, I want to seem as little as a threat as possible. And going into a space where I need to be confident and believe in my skill, but equally don't shine too bright.
Yeah.
Don't be too, my mom was always like, hey, just hide yourself. And my mom and my dad mean well by that, because they came here just off the Windrush. So they were like, hey, be seen, not heard. Don't be too bold. So my mom, she loves what I'm doing, but she's like, be careful, son, be careful. You're in the UK.
Yeah.
And it breaks my heart where it's like, to get big, I had to be out there. But But also it's like, yeah, don't make them uncomfortable though.
No.
Don't be too great. Don't let them know that you know you're good. Don't be confident. It's like, what kind of world is that? And if I want to bring my kids into that, we're like, hey, daughter, be great, but don't be too great because you're going to make them not like you as much because we live in a society that's been conditioned to see people that look like us as less than. And if we were greater than that, it makes them uncomfortable and they start to live. I don't know what to say.
Well, I think it's like having people like Sky Talks Football in women's football space, Seaham, who does Barack London, Rihanna, who obviously is a massive content creation. Having those people,
Sport,
having all those people who are representing people like them, who can show them that, you know, this is everyone's game. If you're going to advertise it as this is our game, why isn't it diverse?
Yeah, and Rihanna, how old is Rihanna, by the way?
19.
She's been on BBC Sport. Worked with Arsenal multiple times. What else? You probably know more.
She worked with ITV Sport, BBC Sport. She's got so much. Works with JD Sport, 19. Nike. Like
19. She's a
mad.
year older than my youngest sister. And Rihanna, shout out to you, amazing, honestly. And I think that's it. It's not just seeing them, but seeing them in positions of power. That's the key part. It's like seeing not just the person there, because you can just get like a random black person put in a shoot, but what's their role? Are they in the background or are they the main thing? Like Rihanna, I remember when I first met her, I was like, oh, damn, that's the girl from the commercial. I'm like, and then you told me yesterday she's 19. I'm like, she's achieved so much.
Yeah.
I'm 28 and and it's like, she's inspiration to me and I'm like almost 10 years older than her. My God, I'm getting old. Jesus Christ. Speaking of getting old, what are some goals for you with 51 and live as a person? So like career-wise, where do you want to go and take the women's game and do your part in that? But also just you as a person.
I think ultimately, like, my main goal is I want to work more with like football clubs, communities, and like do really cool shoots, like what we're doing today. Like this is sick, right? I want to do more of it, but it's obviously I need to have the funds outside of the game, it's like from my job, to replicate that and reinvest it back into what I'm doing so it can grow. I think just having more opportunities to work with not necessarily like big dogs. I think it's cooler to work with the underdogs.
And become a big dog yourself.
And become a big dog together.
Amen.
Like, and I know it sounds like I'm being proper self-righteous, I guess, or like doing it just to help people.
Who gives a shit?
But it's not about that though.
Who gives a shit? Can I just say something? In Liverpool, I did this thing where I went out with a board. I don't know if you saw it, and I gave free hugs.
Yeah.
Free hugs. People still found something wrong with it. I went out and it literally just said free hugs. I got the police calling me once. And there's a whole story I go into. Yeah, someone called the police on me for giving free hugs in Liverpool.
Mad.
I forgive it. It's in the past. We know why. But the point is, people will always have something to say about you. Whether you're super nice or super mean, they'll always have an opinion. Oh, well, he's only nice because he wants something. Oh, he's trying to use this. Oh, he's this. Oh, he's only women's football because he wants to like benefit off it. Like they'll always have an opinion. So I think you know who you are. You know what your intentions are. God knows what your intentions are. That's enough for me. My friends know who I am. My family knows who I am. That's enough for me. Anything else is a bonus, because if there's anything I've learned about life, and just this morning, people can switch like that, and it stings and it hurts. So if you know who you are, I think that is one of the key ways to not go crazy, because let's be honest, Liv, this can drive you crazy.
Oh yeah, definitely. 100%. Like, again, I'll relate it back 4 years ago, you know, super depressed, didn't really want to be alive, like mad. And now I look at the person I am now and I think like I found my worth within women's football, within content creation, within, you know, just doing what makes me genuinely happy. Like, it's not about the money. If it was, you'd be seeing me doing other shit. You'd be seeing me doing, you know, sending out emails all the time or begging big creators to come and do stuff. And it's like, I don't need that. That's not what I'm in it for.
And at some point, your pride is coming where like, I'm not going to beg you.
Exactly. And again, it relates back to your authenticity sells. Who you are as a person genuinely will get you more opportunities than numbers, than people you know, than everything like that, than like who you worked with. Like, it's irrelevant. If you know your shit and you're a good person and you've got that drive within you to overcome adversity, overcome, you know, sexist comments, whatever, like whatever it is, you've already won. Like, you're already ahead of the curve than people that are just doing it for money, opportunities. Not saying that there's people that do it for that, but in social media in general, regardless of women's football or sport, there is people that will just do it for, you know, a bit of like a couple of followers or whatever. But I think the people that generally want to be in the game to change it, you will see their actions speak a lot louder than words.
I love that. We're rounding up. Last 3 questions. You mentioned changing the game. I have my own way of doing things and we'll talk about that in a minute, but how do you go about changing the game? And we talked about It's particularly when you go into this line of work where there's so many people doing it,
Mm.
you have to find a way to separate yourself. With me doing the whole like storylines of like Arsenal versus Liverpool, the fans, just the cinematic storyline, then Mav the filmmaker, right? Or
Yeah.
like every big game, there's a story behind it. Highlight that, like even now with the Chelsea one, where it's like, oh, the story is just the Battle of London. Who gets the right to represent London? Because the two biggest clubs in London are Chelsea and Arsenal.
Yeah.
Arsenal, Liverpool, North and South. There's a clear divide in the people in the south of England versus the north of England. Let's talk about that. We beat Jurgen on his way out in his farewell tour. There's revenge for that. Like there's story there. That's how I think of like, let's separate myself. How can I make this different? How can I make this better? How can I do something that no one else has done? For you, what are some things that you've thought about doing for 51 and just in general that you want to like do different to what's out there?
Well, I think like for 51, for its own identity, like I want it to be almost like a trailblazer for women's football, right? So like you said the other day, like your idea was amazing and I will be stealing that, but you can have the credit for it, where you were like, no one interviews fans after games. Yeah. No one does on shit the women's side, on the women's side. Like no one does stuff where, you're interacting with fans, not doing like the normal quick fire questions. You're asking them deeper stuff than that. Yeah. Like I was said to Izzy, who owns the Sportess, I was like, why don't we go out and ask men, like you have a Lioness t-shirt and you're like, oh, like who does this represent? Most of them won't know. But it's like highlighting that we've still got so far to go.
Steal that back, actually.
Yeah, you can have it, mate. We'll do it together.
No, we can do it together.
But like, I think it is really hard to find your niche. Like on TikTok, I just post random shit because it is everyone does like weekly roundups, which is amazing. We need more of that. But it's hard to stand out when there's only a certain amount of content that people will sit down and watch. So I think I'm still in like the developing stage of trying to find that, how to basically get more out of it from doing other things. Yeah. So it's still a journey. I don't really know what I'm doing on TikTok. It's just random, funny stuff with players, whatever. Yeah. But I think for 51, I want it to be more for the fans, more for people that wouldn't necessarily watch women's football. I think it's more like challenging the stereotypes, challenging the things that, racism within women's football. There's a shit ton of it, but no one talks about it.
Talk about the elephant in the room.
Yeah, like no one likes to say anything about it because it's, oh, you can't say that. Yeah, well, yeah I can. I just said it. So what?
For my own humor, why are you told you can't say that? What are some of the responses you're given?
Well, I think it's just like people are like, oh, it's not an issue. We've overcome it.
Who's telling you it's not an issue though?
Well, like the bigger people, like I won't name names, but I think certain times when you go into a room of people and you're like, we're lacking a lot of diversity here. I've had conversations with the Kickback about South Asian heritage within women's football. I think there's only one player or two players in the championship with South Asian heritage. And it's like, well, why? Why are people above not bothered about it? Because they're not doing anything about it. They're more focused on growing women's football, which is amazing. But we grow it by getting all these other communities involved.
Getting everyone involved. Yes. Not just white women.
No.
But women.
But we're not seeing anything. Yeah. I'm not personally seeing anything done from community level upwards, grassroots upwards. It's just women's football's growing, which is to mask the whole, it's not really growing in the ways that as a society you want it to grow.
It's growing, but is everyone coming with you?
Exactly. Yeah. Are we seeing, everyone get equal opportunities? No. Are we seeing a lot of different colours? No. And like diversity is so important these days because it represents our society. Like you just said, London, you go outside, you got everything. Yeah,
not just race, but just like background. Like,
exactly.
Like Black Brazilian, Black Nigerian, Portuguese, Lithuanian, Americans, love my Americans. Embankment. I love this city. It pisses me off sometimes, but I love it. Last two questions. A lot of part of this journey is hate and receiving hate comments online. I receive a few funny ones. Do you have any you want to share? You can get the phone out. It's fine.
I can get the phone out. To be fair, like there's a lot of.
I got one just like 2 days ago.
On GUFC, there's a lot of like. Okay, so the Leah Williamson one I did about I don't earn enough to retire.
You just baiting that one. You know you're gonna get stuff for that.
But it's a fact though. Like women's football don't get paid as much as men. Yeah. There's reasons for that, but men say like.
What's the comment?
People are like, am I supposed to feel sad? I also can't retire at 35. Yeah. Womp. None of us can retire at 35, mate. Like, and people are just like, she's a woman. What do you expect?
Oh, damn.
What's that comment meant to? What? Yeah. I generally don't understand. And it's a thing in women's football as well. Like on Twitter, there's a lot of hate towards creators and, and players and everything. And I understand the frustration that people have, but it's such a negative way of saying it. It's like in a time where women's football is like, watch what you say, mental health and everything like this. Here we are going backwards online. And
I think mental health just in general, and just like as a society, we've become more connected, but more disconnected at the same time, you know. And like what you said, it's not just what you say, but it's how you say it.
Yeah.
It's how you say it. You can say the most heinous thing to someone, but if you know how to deliver it in a way where they feel seen, heard, and respected, and you understand that, hey, this is not me versus you, this is me and you against the issue.
Yeah.
And that is something that so many people can't do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm 28. I've met so many people, men and women, who they just struggle to, like, if they have an issue with me, they can't just tell me. I'm like, hey, we're on the same side. Like, you're safe. You're safe. When I just say, hey, you're safe, no matter what you say, you're safe. The minute I say that, it's almost like this comes off from them, you know? And it's a learning curve. And I wish our society and our generation gets better at it, but it's part of the journey. Do you want to hear my hate comment? That
go on.
You know the one we did with the Chelsea one? That when Moon walks past you. Arsenal just lost 1-0 to Newcastle at 12 p.m. I posted this at like 6 p.m. We had time to get over it. There's not one Arsenal thing in that video, by the way. It's more of like a threat and more of like picking on Chelsea. A guy comments, turn this shit off. We just lost to the Geordies. And it has like 14 likes. It's the likes it gets. I'm like, shit, man. I'm like, why do you say fuck me for, bro? I didn't play. Like, I'm just here trying to make content, bro. Allow me. But
I feel like comments like that. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah. That's funny. I get that. We just lost to the Geordies. Like, fair. He's got a point.
He's got a point. Yeah. Yeah. And to be honest with you, I will shout out Arsenal memes. He did say, hey, by the way, you may not want to post this. And I was like, we'll be fine. 10 minutes later, turn this shit off. Oh, Liv, let's round it up. Final question. Looking back at everything you've been through and everything you're about to go through, and I'm so excited just to sit back and watch you be great. Like, I just want to say that, no, man, you're destined for great things, man. And the same intrusive, negative self-talk thoughts, I have it, we all have it. But if there's one thing I can tell you today, please, 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 I hope you can believe even a half in yourself as much as I do as you, as much as many people watching do in you. So please, believe in yourself, man. You're fucking incredible what you do. And you got a great heart. And that combination will take you very, very far. Maybe not fast, but far.
Yeah.
And I'd rather go far than fast. What is something that you're grateful for?
I think, again, this might get a bit too deep, but going from,
I can see so many jokes to that. I'm trying to behave. Go on.
Don't.
Yes.
But going from a time where, I'm going to say it, so. Okay.
Go.
Going from a time where generally looked at life as if it was a challenge, as if it's something I had to do, and trying to find a way out of that, being like, I genuinely don't think I would. There was a time where I thought I wouldn't make it past my 18th birthday. Like, it was really, really dark. But I think looking back now, I'm like, okay, like I had that struggle for a reason, had those thoughts for a reason. And I think I'm just genuinely grateful to experience shit in life. Like the good, the bad, the ugly, the happy, you know, the toxic, even, like, just to generally live and breathe. I'm in great health. You know, I've got a lot more opportunities than I did if I wasn't here 4 years ago. Like, I've got good friends around me. I've got an amazing girlfriend. So I think it's just, and a lot of people don't have the opportunity to come out to their parents, to, you know, do all this stuff that I've done. And I think just being grateful for the fact that I'm healthy, I'm living, I'm breathing, you know, got good people around me, and that I get to do what I want. Like, I've got a lot of support around me, and I think that's amazing. Some people don't have that. So, and you know, some people are ill from birth. Like, there's a lot of shit and a lot of deeper shit that is going on than social media, than goals or anything like that.
Yeah. And it's weird. Like, it just, when you were talking, I was thinking about my own stuff. We were talking about it in the car, and I was like, I told you, like, Liv, doesn't really matter. Like, there's kids dying. Like what's going on in Palestine, in Gaza, free Palestine. What's going on there? Like, just, there's kids waking up, not eating for days and hoping they don't die today. And I'm worried about if someone's messaging me back, if someone wants to collab in a post or not. Like, I was like, Denzel, people are dying. And I'm not that person, but when you work so hard, you can just get bogged down in the ones and the zeros. And I'm so proud of you, man. I've definitely been there. Like, guys, I always say this, and I say this for a point. I'll wrap up from this. January this year, I lost my flat. I lost my relationship. I lost my job. I lost my sense of self. Now here I am in London, dream job, moving into my dream flat. My account's gone from like 800 followers to 7,000 all the way to 10K. And I think I should like who I am now again. And everyone's been through a breakup, particularly your first breakup. it's rough. And those of you who know me personally know that it was very, very rough. And you either make or break you after that, for sure. And I'm still kind of healing from that, if I'm being completely transparent with you. But I love how like it's almost December, and in January I was like I had nothing, and now at the tail end of the year I've only slowly gotten back, and full glory to God for that. And just the people around me, and I've met amazing people. People will come against me. People will come against you. People are going to turn on you and betray you. But I promise you, if your heart is clean and you work hard, trust me, nothing can stop you. And I'm just a living embodiment of that. Guys, I was on Universal Credit. Universal Credit. Most of the stuff you saw shot, Protect This House, the Tony one, even the Dua Lipa one. I was commuting from Wolverhampton to London with like 300 quid from the government. Don't tell them that. Like every month, you know. I was down bad. I was scraping by. And now I have a salary, a good salary, you know. That's a blessing. And that's why I always say undesirable to undeniable. Believe me, whatever you're going through, if you're having a great year this year, trust me, you can make next year your year. And I'm a living proof of that. Liv is living proof of that. You don't need the whole world to back you. You need to back you. And I just hope you take that away from that. Liv, anything you want to leave off with?
Amen.
Amen. Preach, preacher.
No, you said everything, mate. Like, honestly, like, I think, like, meeting you was a blessing. We were destined to meet. Our paths crossed for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, I genuinely believe, like, God has a plan for everyone. And everything happens for a reason, the good and the bad. Like, I understand, you know, sometimes it's situational, but generally just, you are the only person that is truly going to back you. No matter how much people can say they're there for you, they're going to love you, you know, whatever. It's a part of life. Like, people change, people grow, people grow apart. Like, it's fine. But at the end of the day, you're the only one who can create your own future. It's down to you. So it's like, do you want it or do you not? There's the two options. So I think looking at, and don't look at people on social media and think that they have generally everything. Followers does not equate to money, does not equate to opportunities, does not equate to personal attributes or anything like that. It's just a number. It does not mean anything, you know. And I think if you can see yourself in a couple of creators that are genuine, are in it for the sport, then amazing. Women's football has done its thing and it's inspired people. But I think knowing that you belong in sport, in the world, and having your place, that's the most important thing.
And with that, guys, thank you for tuning in to the first episode back of Tokyo Diaries podcast. We're going to have a lot more coming out this Christmas season. I hope you're feeling good. I hope you feel amazing. Liv, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling amazing. Thanks so much for this opportunity.
Sensational. Are you feeling sensational?
I'm feeling sensational.
There we go. Guys, we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless. See you soon.